Welcome to the show, Dr. Smith. I'm so honored to have you here. I think that your skill set and your expertise is something that is really going to resonate with the women that are listening and the men that are listening, if there's any men out there listening as well. I would love for you to kind of tell people how you went from being a psychologist to this international speaker, author, and really founding your company that helps others process and understand brain science.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the official side, I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. I've specialized in the treatment of anxiety and stress related conditions for decades at this point. And I loved the one on one work, really helping people understand anxiety and how our nervous system works, how our brains process information so that you can break free from anxiety. And that is amazing mission driven work. But on the personal side, I have a vision impairment. So you can't tell by looking at me, or especially in this context, that I'm legally blind, but I have this rare degenerative retinal condition and it gets worse over time. So about 10 years ago, my vision declined to the point where I had to stop driving. And for me, that was a low point. I was scared and sad and stuck, really thinking like, how do I live life? How do I do the things I want to do with this impairment and what I thought was a flaw that would really just hinder me? And a nice side effect of my job is I have great coping skills, right? I know what to do with anxiety. I know what to do with depression, and I was still stuck. So that put me on this path where I said, I don't know what else to do, but I'm a nerd and I will look to science. So I started to go down the science of happiness path, figuring, I can't change my retinas. There's no treatment options, but I don't want to feel this way forever. And so I started to really dig into what makes a good life despite adversity or despite the challenges, the things that are out of your control. As I started to get into that, I teamed up with Dr. April, who is my co-founder at Peak Mind. We went to graduate school together. And at that time, I had started to blog and write about my journey. And she had started a podcast. And we started talking to each other and realized, you know what? We're not special. Everybody needs to know the stuff that we do about our brains and how they work. And wouldn't things be so much better, especially for what we call high responsibility women, right? Everybody listening to this show. And out of that became Peak Mind. We decided, you know what? We need to take psychology and make it available to people. And then as I continued down that path, I started doing more and more speaking, more and more writing, and ultimately closed my practice last year to do this work to help people know how their brains work so that we can all live big, bold lives without these pesky minds getting in the way.
It's so timely because today I am not working at the hospital. I'm not wearing my anesthesia hat and I'm doing my Brave Enough work. And a big part of what I do is coaching and coaching classes and courses, but I do a lot of one-on-one coaching with my clients that are enrolled in those classes. And I would say that 90% of what my coaching involves is I have these thoughts, they perseverate, I'm spiraling. This person who has been maybe less than, or even traumatic to me in the workplace triggers me. And then I go into this thought spiral but we always seem to put the blame on ourselves, which then just puts us into another thought spiral. And what I have found is that a lot of times our thoughts can really drive this our reality, which makes us be very lonely and isolated. And the more anxiety and thoughts we're having or negative thoughts we're having about ourselves or any situation, the more we withdraw from other people because we're like, well, I can't, either these people aren't safe, or people that might translate into people aren't safe, or something's wrong with me. So I'm going to just withdraw and pull back. I'm not going to reach out and say like, I'm struggling or I need help. I'm just going to like try to do it all because I am a high responsible woman and I can do it all.
Yes.
So do you find that like women, especially high achieving women, struggle with these kind of intrusive thoughts
Absolutely.
that could lead to isolation? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I have yet to meet a high responsibility woman who doesn't struggle with some of this, both the I'm too much and I'm not enough, and I should be able to do it all. And if I'm at capacity, that's a personal failing instead of recognizing,
Mm,
no, that's not. This is you're human and you can do one human being's worth of work in a day and
mhm.
you're doing like
Yes.
17. But
Mhm.
to your point, you're spot on. So we need to keep in mind a couple of things. One, we have anxiety for a reason. Anxiety is our built-in threat detection system. That's it. It's our brain's built-in threat detection system. So it is constantly scanning the environment, looking for signals or patterns that could suggest something bad is about to happen to me. Now, when we go back in
Mhm.
evolutionary times, right, way back to cave woman days, this was, so we didn't get eaten by a predator. Predator
Right.
comes, anxiety system is like, and you run away, whew, you're safe. Well, now anxiety, we still have these ancient anxiety systems, but in a very modern world. So we're getting all of these predators with every email that you open, every time you go onto social media, every time you go into the workplace, our brain is perceiving threats. Now, with social things, right, we're wired to be really tuned in to potential social threats, right? These cues of, if we again go way back in time, it's this, you're not part of my tribe. Are you a friend or foe? Right. So we're kind of wired to be really tuned in to other people. And part of that is because we are intended to be in tribes, in community. We need other people in order to survive. So
Mhm.
we're really tuned into that. So we're not going to get away from that at all. But then when you fast forward into this modern world, we have a lot of things that we've been taught, like you should be able to do it all. We live in a hyper independent culture that if you need help, that's somehow a weakness or a failing. That's not
Mm.
true. It's not accurate. It's we are intended to be social creatures and our nervous systems are wired to lean on others for support, particularly during stressful times. But we've gotten this messaging you shouldn't need other people. We're already prone to
Mm.
being worried about judgment. This person is going to judge me. If they judge me, they reject me. That is tied to survival way back in the day. But now think about all of the messages we see on social media, magazines out there, right? If as people are like, this is what I look like, this is all the stuff that I do. People are really presenting this image that can make us feel like something is wrong with us because we're not measuring up. I had a patient once tell me, it's like comparing my behind the scenes to everybody else's highlight reel.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we're going to
Yeah.
feel like we're somehow less than. And then to your point about the cycle, we start to feel anxious. They're going to judge, they're going to reject, they're going to see my flaws, they're going to find out I'm not as good at this as they thought. That's that imposter syndrome thing we talk about. Then we start to feel anxious. So we withdraw, right? Avoid the threat. We start to be more hyper vigilant. So we're more tuned in to potential rejection or threat. And then we get more isolated. And it just keeps going on and on. And everybody that I'm talking to these days is feeling the same way. It's not you.
Yeah.
This is our
Right.
this is our culture, our environment that's really wreaking havoc with our nervous systems and pushing us all into this lonely, isolated place when what we need to do is be brave enough, which is I love the work you're doing. We need to be brave enough to override that mental programming and say, no, 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 that I hear you, but that's not real. I need to lean in. I need to reach out. I need to be real.
Yeah. And yet it's so like that is the thing that I feel like when when you're really having those kind of intrusive thoughts or when you're
Mhm.
having those internal barriers to and your nervous system is just like ramped up, right? It's like
Mhm.
way high and your a feeling is like flight, like I got to get out
Yeah.
of here, like this is not safe, I got to get out of here. So a lot of times we find ourselves running from the very people in the community and the solution that we need to reach out to others. So how can we reframe that in the moment, like when
Mhm.
we're feeling that way, like what's something that we can do to kind of calm our nervous system?
Yeah, I think what you're touching on is absolutely the right question, right? Because when we feel anxious, the natural response is avoid or escape. That's good. That could hurt me. Get away from it. But what happens when it's a false alarm? So think about it like if you've got a smoke detector in your house and it starts going off because you're using the stove or you lit a candle, those are false alarms. You don't run out of the house and call 911, right? You recognize it. You go,
Mm,
oh, That's not really dangerous. Let me just wait till it calms down. With our
Yeah.
nervous systems, if we're getting this, oh no, don't put yourself out there, people might judge you, and you avoid, right? You escape, you minimize, you play small, you keep quiet, you isolate, whatever it is. What you're saying to your brain was, good job. Please keep it up. I want more of that anxiety. So there's two things we have to do. One is reframe it
Mm.
of, if you're feeling anxious and you're not actually in physical danger. No one has died from embarrassment or judgment, right? And I'll stand by that. It's not going to kill you. It's going to feel uncomfortable. So the first thing we need to do is reframe that discomfort instead of like, bad is good. This means I'm growing. This is
Mm.
where people talk about stretching your comfort zone. All that means is you're doing something that's unfamiliar, new, or you're not quite sure of the outcome. So you're
Yeah.
venturing into some uncertainty. The more you do that, the
Mm.
easier it gets. So I teach people, if you're feeling anxious, it means good. This is exactly what I need to do.
Ooh, I
Now,
love that.
yeah, and you can tell yourself that all day long, every day. It's not going to make that much of a difference unless you back it up with action.
Action.
Action speaks
Yeah.
louder than words. So you have
Yeah.
to show that anxious part of your brain, this is okay. Watch me do it. So
Yeah.
you go and you practice. It's like we could talk about working out, but if I don't go to the gym and lift a weight, I'm not building the muscle. If I
Mhm.
don't put myself out there and get a little uncomfortable, I'm not going to build the courage, and I'm not going to be able to see, oh, that's actually not scary or not dangerous. Might be scary.
Right.
It's not dangerous.
Right. Well, it's really interesting because, I just finished leading a retreat last night in for 20 women doctors, and it was an incredible, wonderful 4-day retreat. I would say I had coaching calls, 15-minute just introductory calls with each woman prior to the retreat. And the reason I did that this year, I've never done that. I've been holding retreats now for 12, I don't know, 10 years. I think I've had 12 or 13 retreats. Is because no matter how successful or how much they've achieved, there comes a point before the retreat where they want to cancel
Yes.
because they're so afraid that they're not going to fit in. They're afraid that their
Mhm.
problems are too big or too small. They don't understand the unknown. They just have anxiety about coming to
Of
this
course.
retreat. And I talk to them and try to just say, like, you're gonna, now I know that. So I say, like, you might in the next couple weeks want to cancel. Don't do
Yeah.
it. Like, gift yourself this time, right? Get there.
Exactly.
And then what's so interesting is, these retreats are such like psychologically safe spaces that in the first
Mhm.
5 minutes of the first person sharing their name and where they live, there's tears. There's tears every single person, and it's because I think it just shows how many few spaces we actually have in our world today that we feel like we can just be ourselves and be authentic
Right.
and be real and share what's actually going on with us.
Yeah.
And so I would love to hear, like, I feel like these people, I get a lot of grief for the work sometimes that I do, and I'm sure you do as well. Like, people are like, "Oh, that's woo, that's not scientific." That's, even though we have so much data on how
Yes.
how important it is for longevity to have connection and community as we age.
Yes.
And I think you can find that in 20 strangers on a weekend that you've never met, but that you all
Absolutely.
are have like I've seen that. I've seen, like, the friendships and the connections that
Of
grow out of
course.
these weekends. But I wonder, like, can you talk a little bit about how authentic connection is truly an antidote to loneliness and how
Absolutely.
that works in our brain?
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all, one, to hear you say that the participants wanna back out because anxiety is like, you're gonna do something new and unfamiliar. Avoid, 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 because we don't know how it's gonna go. It's stay safe in the
Mm,
familiarity zone, right? Keep doing what's comfortable. Not always comfortable, keep doing what's familiar. So I love that, and I'm not surprised at all, but that I guarantee every single person who went to that retreat is glad they went. They feel amazing and strong and connected and powerful and happier than they did. So
yes,
that
yes.
all makes sense. There's a ton of science behind all of it. This is not, I don't do woo. I do hardcore
Right.
science. And so I'm with you on that. And people do, they're like, this is touchy feely stuff. I'm like, loneliness is worse for your health than smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. Let's talk
Yes.
science, right?
Right. Right.
So but to your point about, I think authentic connection is the antidote to loneliness. So if we think of loneliness as just a call to action, right? It's expressing a need. Think of hunger as a call to action, right? Hunger means I need nourishment, like I need energy supplies for my body. Not always, right? Sometimes we're
Right.
hungry out of boredom, but for the most part, it's a call to action. Loneliness is a call to action. It is not a something is wrong with you. It is not a failing. It's just, as a social creature, this is how our system lets us know we have a need that's not being met. And it is a real biological need. So that said, the antidote is authentic connection. And the authentic piece is important. What I mean by authenticity, because that's a super popular word right now. Everybody's like, be authentic. That doesn't mean be a jerk. That doesn't mean be unfiltered.
Right.
What it means is
Right.
pull back the curtain and share a little bit of your inside world. Like,
Mm.
I think of it as we all live in two worlds. There's this outside world that we share, right? Everything we're saying right now that we can see and smell and taste and touch, but we all have our inside world, our thoughts, our feelings, our urges, our memories, the sensations. And to really connect with someone, we have to share some of that. We have to say, here's my humanness and your humanness. And you don't have to know someone forever. I mean, I take Uber because I don't drive. I connect with perfect strangers on a daily basis. And it has been surprising to me of how important that has been for like
I love
filling my
that.
connection tank. But you have to have the courage to say, well, here's something that I actually think or something that I
Yeah.
actually feel. And that doesn't mean trauma dump. That's just, you can
Right.
be like, yeah, in this moment, I'm really stressed out. I don't like the changes that the hospital's done. This paperwork is hard. Cool. But you'll notice as soon as you are brave enough to be authentic, you're giving everybody else permission to do the same. And the dominoes start to topple. And then you get a real person talking to a real person. And that's where we feel belonging, not fitting in, but belonging
Yes.
and
Yes.
acceptance. And that's what we need to regulate our nervous systems and to protect us across domains: physical, psychological, emotional, mental, all of them.
Yes, I have a group of women that I have dinner with about once every other month or once a month. We try for once a month, but you know how that goes.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
these women are my psychological safe space. And I just know, like,
Yep.
I literally walk into that dinner and my shoulders go down. I take 5 deep breaths. I like throw my bag down and I just feel like I can be 100% myself. I don't have to be something, I don't have to hold back anything. It's such a safe
Mhm.
place for me. And I need that so bad in
Yes.
my life. Like and I
Yes.
I I think it's really it's like therapy for me. I mean, I literally it's like I'm
Mhm.
going to therapy and like nothing comes in between me and that night. And
That's awesome.
it's really important to, I think, tell people this because sometimes, we look on social media and we see all these women posting all these highlight reels. And I get this all the time. Women are like, I'm lonely. I don't have friends. You don't need 20 friends. You don't need 1,000 followers. You
Mm-mm.
need two or three people in your life who see you and hear you and
Yes.
validate you, and that you can
Yes.
throw your bag down and collapse at dinner and be like, I have had the worst month and I am really struggling. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad that I can share this with you.
You need those people that you can be messy with, right? And I think this
Yes.
is something, as a high performing woman, there are social pressures, right? That I don't want to minimize. I've seen the research, it's been there for eons, of if you're in the workplace and you express emotion, and as a woman that gets interpreted as you're being dramatic or you're
Yep.
being a bitch or you're being something,
Yep.
right? Whereas a man can do the same thing, and that's powerful, that's assertive. So there
Yep.
are some very real social
100%.
pressures that put us in the position that we have to be mindful of our presentation. And then
Yes.
we throw in social media, and we've got all of these, I like to call them candy connections. It's like the social equivalent of junk food. A follower, a like, those are not real. That's like eating Twinkies and then being like, why does my body feel bad? You
Right.
need kale, right? You need the leafy greens. With our connections, what you're talking about with your dinner group and these three people that you can go and be messy with, those are the social equivalent of kale. That's what
Yeah.
we need, not these candy
Yes.
connections. And so we need this. But it does take some undoing because a lot of us have been taught, don't ask for help, don't show any chink in the armor, don't be messy. That feels vulnerable and scary. And vulnerability is just this, it's this icky feeling of like your soft underbelly showing where you could be hurt. And it does take courage to put yourself out
Yeah.
there in a real way without your protective armor, your perfectionism, your super mom, your high achiever boss lady hat.
Yes.
It's hard to put it out there, but when you do, you're going to feel more real and more whole and more supported. And I
Yes.
actually think confidence goes up in this
A
really
hundred
kind of cool,
percent.
unexpected way. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I definitely agree with you. I saw that this weekend. I saw women
Yeah.
making decisions that they have been kicking down the line, like just kicking and
Yep.
making like, oh, I'm just going to wait to make that decision. I saw women, they made so many decisions this weekend. And it wasn't because someone next to them is saying, make the decision, make the decision. It's because they felt confidence in themselves
Mm-hmm.
to make
Yeah.
that decision being around really a supportive group of people. I have
Yeah.
a conference I put on every fall, and every year people are like, what's the curriculum going to be, and what are we going to talk about, and what's the theme? And I spend a lot of time on that. But the truth is that I could probably make the curriculums be about the solar system
Yeah.
and the
It's
same
still good.
amazingness would happen
Yes.
because it's not actually about the curriculum or the theme. It's about the connections that happen in the
Yes.
audience with
Mm-hmm.
roundtable discussions. And this woman met this woman, and now they're at the pool after the sessions, or they see each other at the spa, and then they have this share this connection, and then they share the story, or that this woman gets up at the microphone and
Yeah.
says this, and 5 other women behind her are like, that's me, that's me, that's me. That's what the
Yeah.
magic of the conference is. It's actually, I mean, we could talk about kale.
Yes,
and,
exactly. But I get it,
and
right?
it
It's
is,
that connection, that
it's the
experience of being
connection. Yes.
authentic and having it
Yes.
met well. Yes, absolutely. And the thing
Yeah.
is, I think of confidence is people, I think people misunderstand it. Confidence is trust in my book. It is really about trust. It's trusting that if I put my real self out there, it's going to be met positively. Right? When you put your best foot out there, your big girl pants and your successes and your achievements, that little voice still gets to whisper in your head, but they don't know the real you. If they saw you melting down
Yeah.
last night, that right? So confidence is if
Right.
I put my real self out there, it's going to be met well. And if it's not, I can handle it. So there's this self trust too, because sometimes, especially if you start to be a little messy and people aren't used to that in your circle, you might get some pushback. You might get some
Right.
negative feedback. And there's a piece too of saying, that's okay. I'm willing to risk that and recognize that that's on them and that's not me. And I'm not going to live in this prison of fear of other people's reaction. So confidence makes sense. And then to the decisions that you're making, I guarantee what actually happened is not that people got super clear on this is going to work out exactly as I hope, because we can't know the future. My guess is they felt brave. I'm brave enough to take this risk
Yeah.
and to follow my heart and be authentic and take the chance that it's going to be hard or scary or it might not go smoothly. And that is a huge part, is just being willing to be uncomfortable. That's what it
I
takes to really
love that.
connect with a person. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And I want to just say it might be being uncomfortable even in the ask of putting yourself
Yes.
out there and saying, because I think I coach a lot of women who are very high functioning, busy women, and they're so isolated and they don't have a friend, like
Mhm.
true friend, that authentic connections or friends, and they feel like
Mhm.
it's something's wrong with them.
Yeah.
And, we go through a lot of like, you know, friendships. There's friends for a reason. There's friends for a season. We know that not all your friends are going to be with you at every stage of your life. And you're going to find that you might find you're at stages of life or even locations of life where you all of a sudden are very isolated and lonely. And it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you're a terrible person, but you might have to
No.
put yourself out there. So just the anxiety of
Yeah.
saying like, hey, I would love to have coffee with you. That can really ramp up our nervous system for some people, especially if
It
you're maybe
does.
more introverted or if you've been hurt by a friendship, right?
Yes.
I get that all the time. Like, I've been hurt by friendships, so I'm just closed down. Well, that's actually really unhealthy. So let's figure out how you
Yes.
can reach out. So just, can you maybe talk a little bit about what do you do when you want to maybe start a friendship or you want to start a
Yeah.
connection and you're feeling that anxiety and fear around that?
Yeah, absolutely. We have to go back to, yay, I feel anxious. This means I'm stretching and growing, right? We have to start to recategorize anxiety as a good thing. People hate this because I don't have a magic trick to say, here's how to get rid of anxiety. That does not
Mm,
exist. You can do all of the breathing tricks in the world, all of the self talk tricks in the world. You are going to feel anxious. It's just, again, I'll go back to the gym. I'm not going to build muscle unless I put my muscles under strain and push through it. You are not going to build confidence and comfort unless you stretch your comfort zone. So there is just this being willing to do hard things. And people hate this. They're like, Dr. Ashley, I don't want to hear you say that. And I'm like, well, but this is how it works. And I
right,
understand, especially if you've been hurt before, your anxiety system is going to go off because it's designed to protect you. You had something that
right,
was bad, that was hurtful. So anything that looks like that, right? If a friend hurt you, any
right,
potential friend, your brain's going to say, oh no, that's like that time. Danger alarms, danger alarms.
right.
If you listen to it, you're saying, good job, keep it up. You're going to keep getting anxiety. So if you stretch, though, if you push through, I'm going to invite someone to coffee. You're going to feel anxious. Give yourself a high five, cheer yourself on. It doesn't always feel like a victory, but it is. But if you ask 100 people to coffee, I guarantee you're not feeling anxious anymore. It's like if you watch a
Right,
scary movie, yeah, watch a scary movie. The first time it's like, the thousandth time in a row, you could say, I don't like it, but you're so bored with it, right?
right,
It's this process called
right.
habituation, which means getting used to it. If you jump
Yes,
into a cold swimming pool, if you're brave enough to stay in it, you get used to the coldness and then it doesn't feel cold anymore. That's
right.
what happens with anxiety. Anytime you face a trigger and you keep doing it, you're going to get used to it. That's the
Yeah,
magic. That's how you make this easier is you get your reps in. Ask 100
yes.
people to coffee.
I love it. I love it. I
Mhm.
love this. Okay, this was so good. For women who are like this, I want more of this. I want more of Dr. Ashley. How can they find you? Buy your book, all those things.
Mhm. So the easiest way, I'm online at drashleysmith.com, and there's information about my book there. You can get a free chapter if you want to hear it and or read it and kind of test it out. I think of it as it's short practical psychology. Like if your best friend was also your therapist, here's everything she would tell you.
Oh, I love
And
that.
yeah, then I've got, videos. And so I'm on most social at Dr. Ashley Smith. So you can follow me there. But reach out, keep doing it because your mind will hold you back if you let it. Don't let
Ooh,
it.
I love that. I love that. Okay, this was such a good discussion and conversation. And if you were listening, I hope that we encouraged you to embrace when you have anxiety and recognize that it is your body's kind of signal and threat detection system, as Dr. Ashley taught us. But that if we are feeling it when we're about to do something really positive for ourselves, it can be a signal that we're doing the right thing, and just reframing it to do it anyway, because action is what's going to help us, taking that action. And we
Mhm.
know that action grows confidence, and we want to be
Yes.
confident women. We want to be women that have authentic connections, and we deserve authentic connections. We deserve
Yes.
friendship. We deserve community. So thank you so much for being on the show. And as always, live brave.